Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking some time to join us. I think we're going to have a fairly quick presentation today. We're going to talk about our self-serve customer portal. It's really a component of our full e-commerce platform, but it's something that we can deploy separately from the e-commerce platform because of the way that we communicate. So just a couple of slides to introduce the concepts, and then I'll get into the live product and show it to you. And then, as Melanie said, we can open it up for questions at the end if it's not clear what I presented. So let's just carry on from here. Just if you don't know who North 49 is, I'll just give you a bit of a brief background. Most of the folks involved here, probably at least half of us, have been working in the Sage channel for 25 plus years. Etienne Grobler, who is one of the partners in the business, along with Rob Eishorn. Etienne's been developing products for Sage for probably as long as ACPAC, if you know it by that name, has been a product. In fact, he wrote a product called Inventory Receipts, which was the purchase order product for ACPAC Plus many years ago. Several of the products we have developed over the years have been purchased by Sage, and we have, in fact, written them into the core. So a lot of the stuff that you're using today will be products that our company or our staff have written and built into the core product now. So we know what we're doing inside of Sage. We have a very close relationship with Sage. In fact, we're in Burnaby. The Sage 300 development headquarters is in Richmond, and so we're essentially half an hour apart, and so we know each other very well, and we work very closely together. The self-serve customer portal, the reason it came into being was we had customers essentially telling us that they were spending a lot of time doing some low-value sort of customer service type tasks, things like a customer would call you up and say, I can't find my last invoice, can you resend it to me? Or what's my outstanding balance, I want to pay my bill, or things like that, right? Things that most people nowadays expect to be able to do themselves by going online to some sort of a customer portal and just serving themselves. They don't want to have to phone somebody, wait for them to be available to do this stuff. They want to be able to do it on their own time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They don't need to wait for the business that they're doing business with to be open or to have staff available or wait for that call back or something like that. It's becoming an expectation now. So no longer is it one of those nice to have things. People expect this now from the people that they do business with. I talked a little bit earlier about how we could separate our customer portal from the rest of the e-commerce platform. And the reason we can do that is because of this component we call Connect. And Connect actually reads data live out of Sage 300. So it's really just a tiny little service that sits on your Sage 300 server waiting for us to send it a question so it can send us back the answer. So it's a real-time communication. It's an IP to IP communication, if you understand what that means. It's very secure. And we also encrypt any of the data that's moving up and down the wire. So essentially what happens is somebody logs into the customer portal, they see that screen, they click on an icon, they request some information like, show me this invoice. At that point in time, we will then send that request off through the internet to your Sage internally, ask the question, they will send us back the answer, we'll display it on the screen. So none of that data lives on our web servers anywhere. The only thing that lives on the web servers are the screens and the icons. The data itself lives inside your Sage 300. So it's always in behind your firewalls, safe and secure, only served up on demand. And when that page is closed, it's gone. So it can't be compromised in any way, shape, or form by somebody who's out trolling the internet. It's safe behind your firewalls. That's all I wanted to really show you in the way of an initial discussion on that. Let me just pop up the portal here. This is our standard customer portal. And so what we did, it's always been something that's been available on our e-commerce platform, like I say, and we could customize it to display virtually anything that the merchant wanted to display. We have access to all data that lives inside of Sage 300, so not necessarily just what you're going to see in the standard portal here. So I'll say this maybe a couple of times throughout the presentation, but access to any data in Sage 300, access to any ODBC compliant data, and we can serve it up on the screen if it makes sense for your business to do so. What we did do, however, was package up a solution that said, this is what we will present, and we'll do so at this cost, and it's a very low cost. So, talking in US dollars, a $995 setup and $200 a month. That's what the standard portal costs. And what I'm going to show you in this presentation is exactly what that includes. And then keep in the back of your mind that if there's something more that you would like to see, chances are we can get at it for you and serve it up. We'll just need to understand what that is so we can tell you what it might cost to add that additional functionality. Anyway, this is an open site. Anybody can go to this and have a look at it. So let me just talk about a few things here before I carry on here. This messaging here would be something that you would want to provide to your customers on your own login portal. So we've given us our standard messaging here. We'll customize that to be whatever messaging you want that to be. If somebody on our demo site wants to get a username and password, they simply need to click here, provide us with a little bit of information, and we will send you back that username and password so you can log into this portal. I'll tell you what the password is right now, but it does change from time to time. So if it doesn't work next time you try and log in, click on that link there. We'll send you the new stuff, no problem at all. Up here, notice it says here at Sample Company Limited, we have attached this to one of the Sage 300 sample companies that we keep here in our office, but we would customize this to have your logo, your brand presence and whatnot here. This, of course, would be your contact information up here, as well as this bit down here would be all your contact information. So that's the kind of changes that we'll make to this portal, included within the cost, as I had indicated. So right now for this one, the username is 1200 and the password is Canada 150. So in case you didn't know, it's our 150th birthday as of July 1. So this year, Canada is 150 years old. Not quite as old as the US, but we're catching up. So now we've got our good friend, Mr. Ronald Black. I don't know, some of you may be familiar with Ronald Black. He's been the sample customer in Sage 300 for, well, as long as it's been a product. So this is what your customers would be presented with in our standard portal. They would have these various icons here that they can go ahead and self-serve on their own account. So number one, we're going to provide them with some summary level information about their account. So, you know, who they are, a couple of years of prior purchase statistics, their contact information, and some basic summary level information. And I think this comes out of the AR stats table, if anyone's more technically inclined. You can navigate to the other icons either through this menu structure up here, or you can go back to the My Account, right back to that landing page again, have a look at it through the icon view. So by clicking on the View Transactions, basically what we're doing here is exposing all the historical transactions for that customer for as long as you're maintaining that data for them. So everything that's in your system, for as much history as you've got, is available for your customers to look at. Now they do have the ability here, of course, to filter this down to say, I only want to see my invoices. So it's going to filter that list down to just invoices. And if they want to further filter it down to only those open documents, meaning ones that still have a balance on them, they can do that as well. And so it gives them a nice, quick, easy way. And you see how fast that works, right? This portal is up on our web servers. I'm not even sure where they are, Toronto or maybe here in Vancouver. But the server that's holding the data is sitting here in our office on a virtual server. And I'll pop into that later and show you something there. But it's very quick communication. If they want to drill down on that invoice, they simply need to click on it. We're going to display the details of that invoice as it appears inside of Sage 300. And again, we're reading this data live as of right now, so that's current. And if they want to reprint that invoice, they simply hit that print button, and we will display this invoice format, again, with some customizations with your information up on this top left area here. But that's the basic format that you would see, very similar to a crystal report that you'd see out of Sage 300. They can save it to a PDF because pretty much every modern browser these days is going to allow that, or you can actually just print it out to your office printer, wherever you want to print that. So that capability exists on pretty well any document that lives inside of Sage 300. We provide similar capabilities. We do provide the option, if you want to allow it, is for your customers to pay their accounts online. Now, this one we've mocked up to a Sage Payment Solutions integration, but what would happen here is they would look into this and see, is this the right invoice that I want to pay? Yes, these are line items. They just click the items that they want to pay, click that Make Payment button. So at this point, what happens is we would then take the process out to the gateway, the vault essentially for the payment processor, in this case, Sage Payment Solutions. The reason we do that is because we don't then have to ever touch the card, nor do you have to touch the card, meaning you stay within PCI compliance guidelines. The gateway is the one that touches the card. So they simply need to fill in their credit card number and expiration date and their CVV. We'll fill in everything else. We'll add everything up. We'll put in their customer information, all that stuff, and all they have to do is hit that Pay Now button. And of course, I don't have a card number in there, but if I did have a card number, it would say payment received. What happens then in the back is that we'll take that payment We'll pass it back through into Sage, and we'll either append a transaction into an AR receipt batch with all the necessary information. If there is not a batch open, we will open a batch and then put that first transaction in that AR receipt batch. So the payments get processed in that fashion. So that's fairly straightforward stuff, and that's an option. You can provide that or not, at your discretion, but it's available to you in the standard portal. We also provide the ability to view prior orders. So here we've got several orders we're showing open only. If I wanted to show all invoices, I can certainly do that as well. You can look at every order type in here. So active orders, future orders, standing orders, quotes, all this stuff is available to view. And again, with that same drill down capability that we saw with the invoices, you can drill into that document and you can reprint that document if you need to. So very similar to what we saw with the invoices, the same holds true with this document, customized again with your contact information here. You also have the ability on this screen, rather than looking at it by order, you can look at it by item. So now these are the items I'm still waiting for delivery on from you as my supplier. So it just gives them a slightly different view about what's outstanding. Next, of course, we provide a contact us screen or a form. This is a feedback form that will send information back to some designated email address within your organization. So first of all, we'll populate the things that we know that will not be changeable, but of course we recognize there may be more than one person doing communication on behalf of that customer, so we'll allow them to change the contact name, contact email, and telephone number, and then enter the message that they want to send to us, which again, you'll receive internally to the email address that you've designated as the one you want to receive that information. We provide the change my password kind of thing. We store the passwords in the AR customer record in an optional field, and I'll show you that in just a second. So basically what we're going to do is validate the email address that we have on file for that account, make sure that that's current, and then check against the password, and then we'll allow them to update that password, and we'll write that back into that AR optional field. And this might be a good opportunity for me to pop it and show you that. This is the Sage 300 in our office that's backing up that customer portal that we have there. So what I'm just talking about now is in customer number 1200, in the optional field, there's the password for the customer portal. So you as the merchant always have control over who does or does not have access to the customer portal simply by controlling this. But we also give them the ability to update that. So when you first set this up, for all of your customers, you might send out a blanket email to everyone saying your initial login is your account number and your password is your email address or whatever you designate that to be. The first time they log in, they'll be then prompted to change that password, and this is where we're going to save that. There's another interesting thing that I want to show you. Let me go back to here and into the My Account bit again. So there's one other kind of cool feature that we have, and it's in the customers again, and it's in the comments. We've created a couple of new comments in here. One's called Web and one is called Web Acknowledged. So if I go in and insert a new comment, and I'm going to call it a web comment, and I'm just going to type a note in here. This is a web comment for frontline demo. Okay. Oh, I did spell something wrong. Okay, good. It'll show up as a spelling mistake. So now when I go back into, and I did save that, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay. And now when I go back into the customer portal and I reload that page, that message now pops up for that customer. So this is kind of a cool and easy way for you to communicate very specifically with a customer some message that you want to relay to them. Maybe it's something like, I don't know, the credit card we have on file for you is about to expire. Please contact the office for the new card number, or happy birthday, Bob, or your account is 90 days overdue. Please pay up, or we're going to put your account on hold. Whatever messaging that you want to send out to that customer, you can do so very easily by this. Now, when they click that OK button, and then again, I navigate back into here, and let me just navigate away and then back to that customer. You'll see that comment has now changed to a web acknowledged. So you know that they have seen that comment and acknowledged reading it. So you still have that kind of audit trail of the comments that you send out to these folks, and now you've got an acknowledgement that they've seen it. So that's kind of cool. So I'm sure you can think of lots of interesting applications for that. Let me just log out here and show you something that I didn't mention in the beginning. If somebody forgets their password and they hit that retrieve password, all they have to do is type in their username and their email address. We're going to verify this again against what we have on record for these guys. And if they match, we will then send them to the email address their password so they can retrieve it that way. That's about it for the standard portal. There's something you didn't see here. Oops. That you think would be useful for your customers, let us know, because we can probably do it. So I'll give you an example. What we have done on our own customer portal for our customers who use our Webtelligence solution is we've got another icon on that front page, and it's called Webtelligence Statistics. And so what we do is we maintain a separate table. It's a SQL table that stores data about their how much data they're storing for them, how much data moves up and down the wire for them, how many SKUs they have, how many orders are being processed. All that kind of useful information is now displayed for them on a screen that they can have a look at their history for as much time as they've had a website with us, and it gives them the ability to kind of analyze how their site's performing. And they can also then click further into that and get their invoicing for their monthly managed services that we do on their behalf, which is us maintaining their website and doing their backups and all that kind of stuff. So that's an example about how accessing additional information that lives outside of Sage 300 is possible because it's an ODBC compliant data source. We can serve it up if it makes sense for you to do so for your customers. That's it. Like I said, fairly quick, fairly straightforward stuff, easy for us to implement. The time for us to implement this is really a matter of a few hours. Now, we do have to get it, of course, on the schedule to do that, but we can do this very quickly because it's a very small footprint on your system. There's no infrastructure changes, very quick and easy for us to get set up. It's a nice way if you don't want to jump headlong into getting a full e-commerce suite to sell products online. This is a good way to get your customers a self-serve portal that will simplify your life and your customer service folks, so maybe alleviate some of the burden on these, like I said, low-value interactions with your customers. And it doesn't matter if you're running another web store. This doesn't interfere with that in any way, shape, or form. This can be run completely separate from that. So it's just another way that you can provide more services to your customers. We do have a fully integrated e-commerce platform with web stores and sales rep portals that they can go on the road and make sales to customers. So if anything like that is of interest to you, we're happy to talk to you about that as well.